Hi, my name is Jeff Mills. It is December 18th, 2026, the day before Dr. Martin Luther King Day holiday. I'm here in my office in the Over the Rhine neighborhood of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm really excited to take the next couple of minutes to talk to you about three things. One, why I'd like to be a part of Leadership Ohio. Two, the unique perspective that I would bring to my classmates and cohort. And three, and I love this question, what is civil discourse and how I've handled it throughout my career? Why do I want to be a part of Leadership Ohio? I spend a lot of time planning and reflecting and iterating and thinking about how I can be most effective as a citizen and a leader. And over time, I've developed a personal mission, and my personal mission is to create a world in which our children can continue to delight by cultivating sustainable, inclusive, and joyful spaces. That's my mission, and I see Leadership Ohio as a way to advance my mission. Frankly, that's the most succinct way that I can say it. But there's more. Throughout my life and throughout my career, I've focused on making my little piece of the world a little bit better, a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more inclusive, a little bit more accessible, a little bit more joyful, frankly. We could all use a little bit more joy in the world, I think. I think that by getting to better understand, actually, this is on my desk, right? It's a little Prism award thing, and it got me thinking. Leadership Ohio can help me better understand the many different facets that make Ohio the gem that it is. And maybe it can help me to see which facet needs a little bit more polish, right? Or if I adjusted a facet, would the gem shine brighter? And so as I was making this video, this sort of jumped out as a metaphor for why. I want to make Ohio shine in whatever way that I can, in whatever small part of Ohio that I can. And I think that would allow me to be a better citizen. It'll allow me to be a more effective leader and a more effective advocate and for change in my community. All right, so question number two. What unique perspective would I bring to my classmates and my cohort? One of the things I hope that you saw or heard in my story was I've been on both sides of the public-private divide, but aiming for the same mission, right? So I understand how to work within a government system, and I understand how to work outside of a government system with government partners to achieve the goal of making a community better. In this case, my goal is to add to the portfolio of affordable housing, to make housing options more accessible in communities across Ohio. I have had the opportunity to lead an organization of 400 individuals, police officers, firefighters, public service workers, urban planners, administrative assistants, all sort of rolled up underneath the township administrator in Colerain Township. It was a really cool transition to make from a leader of an organization of that scale, and then to enter into an organization where I work day to day with two other men, and they're incredible individuals. I have experience leading large organizations. I have experience leading smaller organizations, and in both instances have seen some success. That's a perspective that I think is somewhat unique, and I could bring to my classmates and cohort. And finally, what is civil discourse, and how have I engaged with it? How have I engaged in it? How have I handled it? I have some pretty significant experience with civil discourse. I spent a summer once working for an environmental advocacy organization called the Sierra Club, and my job that summer was to follow George W. Bush around the country with an inflatable power plant, because at the time he was proposing changes to the Clean Air Act, and I would organize these sort of I guess you would call them not really a protest, but exercises of free speech, where we would share our opinion about the changes that were being proposed to the Clean Air Act. I was an advocate. I was maybe even certainly an activist. My life has changed and evolved. My experience set has broadened, and it's interesting to look back and see that advocate, that activist, and then to relate that to experiences that I've had more recently, where I'm more of an institutionalist, and but always to know that activist is in me. It helps me to engage with folks that disagree with me and are activists against housing, against affordable housing, right? When I was township administrator, activists against sidewalks, if you can believe that. When I was the township administrator in Coleraine, we were the home of the regional landfill, and that landfill wanted to expand. That landfill smelled like landfill. It smelled bad, especially when the wind blew in your direction. That upset a lot of people, right? And there was I remember very clearly a moment when we had an engagement session. This was not when I was the township administrator, I was the planning director at the time. And the administrator at that time decided to put a microphone and seats, and then have decision makers. And so you've got angry people, a microphone, and decision makers. And this was an adversarial setup. This environment was adversarial from the beginning, and the environment and the way that individual chose to solicit feedback was adversarial. And just as you might expect, hundreds of people got up and said, we don't want the landfill to expand, and you're bad for making it happen or allowing it to happen or not caring about us, or our water's going to be polluted, and the anger was focused on as a result of the physical environment in the room. When I became the township administrator, the way that I've tried to engage and create meaningful engagement opportunities is by having small groups of people talk to each other, right? Ask them questions, give them prompts, talk to each other, have them write down their ideas, and then stand up and report out on what they themselves care about, but also what the group cares about. It requires a level of listening and promotes civil discourse. There are ways to do it well. Urban planners know this. I'm the vice president of the American Planning Association's Ohio chapter. I identify as an urban planner because I see the power and the tools of urban planning and public engagement and how to create opportunities for civil discourse when, in fact, there are ways that you can set yourself up for some really gnarly moments that aren't good for anybody. It doesn't get anyone any closer to a decision or to consensus or to shared understanding. It just creates antagonism, and I've lived through it. I've been told that I am the plug at the bottom of a swamp. I've been told that I'm going to be responsible for businesses going out of business because I was including a sidewalk, as I mentioned, in a budget. I've felt that intensity, that passion, that antagonism in very real ways, and I've learned from it, and would be happy to share more stories because I've got a bunch of good stories. Okay, so that's probably was longer than 10 minutes. I'm probably going to be cutting this down and cutting out all of the ums and uhs, but I did want to take just a quick second to tell you that I appreciate the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. I am so very grateful for this opportunity to join Leadership Ohio and meeting the great people doing great work all around the state in so many different ways. I can't wait. So if I'm lucky enough to join the cohort, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much.